Okay, there we go. So just so you can see here is our whole lab setup. So we've got all these different rocks that we're going to go through. If you've got these papers printed off, it will help you out to figure out what everything is. Now I've gone through and given a couple of helpful hints here. So for the igneous rocks, which are right here, you're going to see things like interlocking crystals. You're going to see glass down here. Up top, if it's a granitic composition, it's going to be kind of light, white, pinkish colors, maybe some blacks in there. If it's andesitic, it's going to be a mix in between, like maybe a salt and peppery look. If it's totally dark black, we're talking basaltic composition. I didn't put any ultramafics on there, cross those off. We said down here that pumice is going to float. It's very light colored. It's frothy glass. Obsidian is pretty dark black. It's really compact glass. So we go down here, metamorphic rocks. We've got crystals and bands here for talking about a gneiss. You can see the pictures here. Those are foliated. Over here we've got slate, which is also pretty flat. It's going to be kind of harder than shale. It's going to be usually black. It can be other colors too. It's going to be some harder stuff. Over down here with the non-foliateds, we've got marble and quartzite. I crossed out anthracite. Marble is going to fizz, and it's a pretty white color, the stuff I have. It can be other colors, but the stuff I have is pretty white. Quartzite is going to look like fused quartz grains, fused sand grains stuck together. Down below, we've got the sedimentary rocks. There's two groups, chemical and clastic. Clastic are pieces of other rocks stuck together. So then you look, do I have gravelly pieces? Are they round? Are they angular? Do I have sand? Do I have something that's smaller than that? And one you'll want to look for is shale, which will be flat. It will break. It's softer than the slate. Slate is what shale turns into if it gets partially heated and cooked. Over here on the chemical sedimentary ones, there's a couple you want to look for. Limestone fizzes and is kind of a dull grade because its composition is calcium carbonate. Bituminous coal is black, and it's not very heavy. It's pretty light stuff. Okay, it's made up of the partially altered plant fragments. Okay, so let's go through these. As you go on your paper, you can fill out these things to help you: the color, texture, and grain, composition. The rock types, probably the most helpful, but finally you want rock names so that you can actually answer the questions on the quiz. Here we go. If you follow along, you're going to get all the answers, but you're still going to have to figure out what the rock name is. Let's do number one. Here's number one. So you guys, if you want to follow along with me, I'm going through the rocks, okay? Number one, when we look at it, I've got some different colors, okay? But the most noticeable feature is there's interlocking bands of crystals in there. So this one is definitely banded. And that immediately puts me into the metamorphic rock part. Are you guys following along?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm giving you all the answers here. You're gonna have a quiz here in a second. Like, I am not gonna say the actual rock name, but if you pay attention, you'll have all the characteristics you need to identify it, like everything. Okay, so it definitely has some crystals and bands. So we're looking over here at a foliated rock, a very heavily foliated rock. So this is a metamorphic rock. Okay, so this is it literally right here, banding of minerals. Find the name, okay? Everybody got the name for number one? Looking at your papers. Or are you texting? I think you're texting. Number two and number three. Let's use this number two here just a little bit. Number two and number three. They're both flat and they're both dark. So I've got two choices here. I'm pretty much left with, is it a harder flat black rock, which it would be slate if that's the case, or is it a softer flat black rock, which would give me shale, which is a sedimentary rock? So let's take the two. This is number three. If I take my nail, you'll hear this. You hear kind of the dull sound on that one. This is number three. Number two. I'm screwing you up. This is number two. Okay, this is number three. You can tell immediately which one's harder. Hear the ring on number three? This is the stuff that blackboards used to be made up of. It's harder to scratch. It's harder stuff. Versus this, it's kind of dull sounding, is much softer, and I can indeed break chips of it off. Can break pieces of that off pretty easily. Number 2 is pretty soft compared to number 3. I'm not breaking anything off of number 3. Okay, so that should lay those out for you. This one's metamorphic. Number 2 is sedimentary. Okay. Number 4. Number 4 is actually a glass. It's an igneous glass. So looking up here, I've got my glassy texture here, igneous glass, and it is super light stuff. In fact, this stuff is one of the only rocks that floats, and it will float in water. Pretty cool. When a volcano erupts, this stuff, big mats of it can just go floating out into the ocean, and it can sit out there long enough that stuff actually starts to grow on it. Like a little island, a little floating mat island of volcanic rock. So take a look down here under glassy. You ought to be able to identify that with what I just gave you. Number 5 is a hard. Number 5 is a hard, black, glassy rock. It looks like cracked glass. If I look up here, this is another igneous rock. It is glassy. It most certainly won't float in water. It's a very hard, compact glass. See if you can figure out what that is on your paper. Number 6 and number 7. Here's number 6, here's number 7. I'm going to do number 7 first because number 7 can turn into number 6. If you look close here on number 7, you will see individual little grains of sand. So that tells me this is a clastic sedimentary rock. Look down here under clastic sedimentary rocks, and I'm saying that I have sand-sized grains. It should be obvious what this is. Little sand-sized grains of a clastic rock. It's pretty obvious. It feels like a beach. This is what happens when this rock, this is number 6, number 7, number 6, when it gets squished and cooked a bit and metamorphoses. So this is metamorphosed sand. So if we look down here to the metamorphic ones, we'll find under non-foliated here, the one that's fused quartz grains, okay, comes from a sandstone, but this is actually quartzite. Okay, see the quartz in there? It's all fused little sand pieces. Let's look at number 8. Number 8 has big crystals again. And if I see big crystals not in bands, I immediately think I'm looking over here at igneous. So at the igneous one, I'm looking for my grain size here. It's definitely coarse grained. There's no pinks in there or anything, but this is really a nice mix. This is a very andesitic composition, but that's not the name of the rock. You've got to pull those together to find the name of the rock. It's a very salt and peppery sort of look. It's the mixed one. Okay. That was number 8. Number 9. Number 9, had a couple here. You can see the chunks in there. Those are little pebbles all stuck together on number 9. You can see them in here. They're broken off, but there's little pebbles stuck together inside that rock. So immediately I'm thinking clastic sedimentary rock. It's bits and pieces of stuff. And I look over here and I go, what size are they? Okay, they're definitely gravel size. They're not sand size. Now the question is, are they rounded or angular? Well, I know it's broken off, but if you look here, the edges of this stuff are quite round. So this is rounded pebble-sized stuff. Figure out what the name of it is there on your sedimentary clastic rocks. That was number 9. Number 9. Here comes number 10. Number 10 is kind of an ugly dark rock. Number 10 has crystals in it, you just can't see them. So it would be considered a fine-grained igneous rock. Okay. Looking at it, I've got my choices of is it light, in between, or dark. It's quite dark. So pull those two lines together and you've got your fine-grained rock. It's got basaltic texture. In fact, that's a part of the name, right? So there is number 10. Let's look at number 11. Number 11 is a beautiful white crystally looking thing. Okay, anytime I see something this pretty, I'm starting to think metamorphic. So here's Metamorphic Rocks. We're definitely not foliated. Look down here, we're non-foliated ones. But is it marble or quartzite? Well, you got a pretty good hint because we already identified one of those. But there we go, thank you. We should be able to tell if it's marble because marble ought to fizz. Let's see if I can get this up here. Here we go. Nope, I missed. I don't know if that, you can definitely hear it. There we go, it's definitely fizzing. So we know what that one is, without a doubt, right? Next one up. This one is super light and it's black. It's all shiny. If you felt this, you'd immediately know that this is not basalt or even obsidian. It's just too light. It won't float in water, but this is the stuff you might find in your stocking at Christmas time. This is a sedimentary rock. It is a chemical sedimentary rock, and you might kind of look down here, the ones that I labeled. It's very light, it's black. In fact, you can burn it. That's a pretty good hint.
Wait, what number was that?
That was number 12. We just did number 12. Number 12 was this light black rock that can burn, that you find in your stocking. Okay, number 13. Number 13 is an ugly gray rock. I'm going to tell you this is a chemical sedimentary rock because the real test for this as to what it is, this chemical sedimentary rock, is if it contains calcium carbonate, we'll know. And there it is. We are fizzing like crazy. Okay, dull gray rock that fizzes. I think you can figure that one out. Chemical sedimentary. And the last one, number 14. The last one was 13. This is 14. Number 14 is really pretty. In fact, countertops are made out of this. We've got some blacks in here, but the noticeable ones are the pinks and the whites. There's a lot of pinks and whites, and they're big crystals. So this is an igneous rock. Here are the igneous rocks. Okay, I've got big crystals that I can certainly see there. It has got a lot of light whites and pinks in there. Some blacks too, yeah. But it's definitely not an even mix. So I'm looking at something that's got granitic composition. Pull those together, coarse grained. What is that rock? And that was number 14. Okay, everybody should have all the answers now. If you just sort out where they are on the table, you can go online and take the quiz.